on the Commission on the Status of Women parallel event happening right here in Ghana with our partners joining us online. And of course, the priority theme for this year's event is innovation and technological change and education, the digital age for achieving gender equality and the empowerment of all women and girls. And the review theme is challenges and opportunities in achieving gender equality and the empowerment of rural women and girls. Many thanks to all of you joining us, our partners, those who are joining us, especially online, to make this a successful event. This initiative is being spearheaded by WiLDAF Ghana and its network members and partners. I am Selikem Akolachi Palu, moderating the event right here. So our local theme for the conference is leveraging digital technology in advancing women and girls' rights in Ghana. And I guess it's time for us to have some introductions of those of us who are gathered right here in the local office. Let's hear you. Let's have our microphones turned on and let's get to know each other. So let's do some quick introductions.
Okay, my name is I work with WiLDAF Ghana.
Okay, so Dorcas works with WiLDAF.
My name is WiLDAF Experience.
All right. Right, so for those of us here, let's quickly do the introductions.
My name is Dorcas Gakweto. I work with WiLDAF Ghana as a project officer.
Welcome, Dorcas.
My name is Alice Bisibana Jumbe, WiLDAF network member.
I'm Gloria Kankam with WiLDAF Ghana.
Okay. My name is Gabriel Audi, a project officer with WiLDAF Ghana.
I'm Karen Odwe, WiLDAF Ghana.
My name is Rosemont Combat. I also work with WiLDAF Ghana.
I'm Stephanie Kumi with WiLDAF Ghana.
Hello, I'm Perpetual Tendana, and I'm with WiLDAF Ghana too.
Right, so we have a great team here from WiLDAF Ghana, and of course, WiLDAF is doing this together with its network members and partners to host once again the parallel event, the NGO CSW67 parallel event. We want to acknowledge, of course, the contribution of Plan International Ghana, Women's Voice and Leadership Project as a key partner of this activity. Plan International Ghana, thank you so much for carrying us along. And at this point, we'd like to invite to give us some welcome and, of course, a brief of the agenda in a way. The National Program Coordinator for WiLDAF Ghana will be doing that. She is a feminist activist, organizer, and consultant with over 16 years experience in the fields of gender and law. She has extensive experience around and national level advocacy, grassroots mobilization, talk about collaborations and network around critical issues. Let me invite, and of course, National Program Coordinator for WiLDAF, Melody Dake. Thank you so much, Melody.
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening to you, wherever you're joining us from. On behalf of WiLDAF Ghana, I welcome you to the third in the series of our virtual many opportunities and benefits being derived from the use of digital technology to advance women's rights and gender equality. It is also a fact that several challenges abound in the areas around issues such as data security, capacity, though, is that some of the digital technology realities for our work are gradually receiving some attention by the evolving policy, legislative, and regulatory frameworks that are either currently available or are being worked on. For instance, in Ghana here, one has to be aware of and take into account provisions in the Data Protection Act 2012 as amended, the Cybersecurity Act 2020 as amended, and their associated legislative instruments, regulations, and institutional arrangements, among others, in our quest to optimize the use of digital technologies in ways that elevate women and girls and do them no harm. On the platform of this WiLDAF Ghana CSW67 side event, we seek to discuss some of the above-mentioned realities as a through a WiLDAF Ghana lens, and also disseminate the findings of a survey carried out by WiLDAF West Africa on the impact of digital technology, digital transformation on women's rights organizations and networks in their quest to advance gender equality and women's rights in West Africa. As well, we seek to share and learn from the lived experiences of some members, affiliates, and partners of the WiLDAF Ghana networks on how they have utilized digital technology in promoting and advancing women's rights and gender equality in the fields of networking, access to justice, access to information, sexual and gender-based violence, women's economic rights, sexual reproductive health and rights, among others. So on this note, I wish all of us here fruitful deliberations and discussions. Thank you very much. And over to you, Madam Moderator.
Thank you very much, Melody. Our presenters today will be addressing issues including the following. We're looking at key innovative digital technology strategies deployed by their organizations in advancing women and girls' rights. We're also looking at impact, opportunities, and challenges in the use of digital technology in advancing those rights of women and girls. And then we'll look at recommendation. Up to present to us first, we have Amudath Mazu. She is coordinator for WiLDAF West Africa. And I want to take the opportunity to acknowledge all our participants online from WiLDAF West Africa. Thank you so much for joining us. Amudath will be speaking on the impact of digital transformation on WROs and networks in advancing women's rights and gender equality in West Africa. Over to you, Amudath. Yes. So, Amudath, if you are online, you can hear me. You are giving us our first presentation on the impact of digital transformation on the WROs and networks in advancing women's rights and gender equality in West Africa. Amudath Mazu is coordinator with WiLDAF West Africa. Great, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I did not have opportunity to get in, so it's fine now. Hi everyone.
Hello.
Let me share with you my presentation.
Go ahead.
Okay. Can you see the screen?
Yes, we can see your screen now.
Okay, let me go. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Amudath Mazu, and I need to make a correction before I start. I'm the program coordinator of WiLDAF, not the regional coordinator. So I'm so delighted to join you this afternoon to share with you our experience on the work we have done with our network members, leaders and secretaries. So we thought that it is important to have evidence to support the work our organization are doing. So who are those surveys people? They are the people that we surveyed mentioned that their organization are in government. So only 17% of those organizations surveyed are in rural areas, and 3% of them are female, those who took part of this survey. And as we can see, we have men as well. So we are working as women rights organization, but we are working with men as well. So those who responded in overall was like those who are executive director, project manager, or communicator officer. And you can see their percentage as well. We also have, we try to see which kind of organization are those organizations that we surveyed, and 17.4% of them are non-profit organizations, and they have around 1 to 15 employees. So those organizations have between 1 to 15 employees. And what we do at last is to seek their consent to share this information when we will after to share, and 97% agreed that we should go ahead and share the result from the information that they provided to us. So next will be about the accessibility of the new information and communication technology. What we try to do here is to look for which kind of product really useful for us in many ways, as you can see, and help to advance the work we are doing as women rights. Today, we can stay here and we are here. For example, in this meeting, we have many countries gathered around this platform. So it's really an important tool for us today to achieve grades in the work we are doing. So in terms of accessibility, again, we try to ask them if the network or the internet connection are reliable, and the 77 using. And we also ask them the type of internet they are using, and some 52% of them said that they use the temporary internet, like mobile data. They purchase the mobile data in their phones. And 45.3% of some said that they use unlimited internet, like they make they make subscription office. They want to buy connection, for example. So in overall, they said that they use between in dollars $122 per month. So that was what we got from this website. Is for us a platform that we can be more visible to access many communities, and 60.7 of websites. So this is a real issue as we are moving towards transformation, the digital transformation. We need to get used to those devices and those technology. So we also try to ask them if in their workplace, if they have access, like everyone has access to laptop. Laptop, as you know, is a very important tool. If it comes to more than 50% of them, they said at their office, not all people have their own the laptop to work. And we also try to ask them if if they used to get support from donors when it comes to buy those devices to adjust to digital transformation. They said we have 65.3% of them, of people who said that they do not have support to add that they have support from donors. And from those who have support, we also try to find out which kind of support they used to get from those donors. And they said they have funds and some kind of thing. And 40 is not affordable for the budget the organization has. So moving forward, we also try to seek the ability of see if they have knowledge, because knowledge is a key if you want to adjust or to align with digital transformation. It were not part of our attitude, so we have to gain new attitude in order to adapt to it. So we try to ask them if they have annual digital transformation budget, like if they have in their budget a part who is dedicated to digital transformation too. And 69% of them said they don't have. So when they are designing their project and everything, they don't take this into account. And we also ask them if they have training, if everyone has training in digital transformation, like this organization. So we also try to ask if they have some policies that can support them, like digital security policy documents. And 67.9 of them said that they don't. Most of them also do not have, around 70% of the respondents said they don't have digital transformation strategy. But we had 22.2 of them who said they have digital transformation strategy in forms of like developing a here. As you know, we also try to find out, because in our organization today, we sometimes have like if you have laptop and the laptop is not usable, what do you do with this laptop? Or if you buy smartphone to conduct some research or do those things and they are not usable anymore, what do we do for that in order to protect our environment? So this puts us to ask them this question about what do you use in it. Some said they make donation with them if it is not usable. Some said they throw it away. So, and as we can see, this could constitute an environmental threat for the population. So as women rights organization, we need the female girls and victims and over. How do we use those tools to protect them so that they cannot get abused, or so that their picture are not they publish anyhow, and so how do we do to protect them? So we asked them if there's one of the challenge using those technology is like digital attacks, cybercrime and over. And we asked them if those organizations have ever suffered from digital attack, but 75% of those who responded said no, because they have some rules that guide them, that protect them from that. So for the other who responded no, we also asked them, how do you use this to protect the beneficiaries? So they said among the rule of personal data, the code of conduct, the policy against sexual exploitation and abuse, the anti-fraud and the anti-corruption policy, and they also try to not publish their beneficiaries' name. They respect their privacy and their dignity, as well as women, men, and girls. They also comply with the beneficiaries' agreement. Like they ask them, as we did in this research, we asked people if they allow us to share their information. So we of the protection that they use is using code for example, their computer or their personal equipment or office equipment. So impacts of using all those devices as women rights organization. It's true that it's positive. As we said before, they mentioned many positive aspects that I will not come on it again here. Like it makes them to be more efficient in the work they are doing, to get training and everything, so to reach more targets. So I will not come back on those positive impacts, but surprisingly, we realized that there is many negative impacts on those organizations. Among them, they mentioned impacts related to working remotely. So they said they have challenges with internet who are not reliable, limited access to those software, and some such software are unavailable or obsolete. So there are also education, and some also about power outage. This one, I think, while we are moving towards digital transformation, we really need to think about this aspect, because, for example, yesterday I were in a meeting and there was short power outage. And most of us, while doing Zoom meeting, we can say how we feel when there is power shortage, or when we missed an event when while we are working online, if it is very important event for us. So we really need to push forward so that our government should do something forward toward this problem. So they also mentioned as impacts the increase of their budget, so the cost of the maintenance of the website, Facebook, and in overall all the tools that have been using to assess digital transformation. So they also mention negative impact on their health. Due to the wave release when they are using like smartphone, like laptop, and also, and surprisingly also mentioned the unemployment, because nowadays we are doing many using those devices and those technology, and it can create also unemployment. We have also social relation problems, working remotely today, like creates distance between people. We don't know much because after COVID, many stay together, and this also was part of the negative aspect of digital transformation. And they also said that there is a risk and risk of losing information, and also using they also mentioned cybercrime, like getting the fake calls for donations and scams, hacking and salts on when they publish something. So they also said that sometimes their mail gets corrupted. So those are parts of the problems we can have when we are using those devices. So we also try to seek for the challenges that they are facing. And among the challenges, 89% of them, as you can see, there are many. It said that they have budget constraints. They have lack of IT staff and expertise. They have lack of digital skills and lack of vision from management on the digital way of working. And surprisingly, also, we get some, even if there are few, 8.3% of them who said that digital adoption is not about their priority. So those are still working using their traditional ways and don't want to adapt to that because it's not part of their priority. So among the needs that those organizations has, we have at the first, training, education is key in everything if you want to move concern in those organizations. Digital fundraising training is also about software and so. Last information about what we can do as we see that there is positive we do as civil society or women rights organization for information and digital without getting those documents to in our organization. So we also ask for those internet they are using as a worker to facilitate their create state actor. We encourage wider adoption of technology for women's rights organization, and we also seek for them to include to increase the public funding for women's organization, to raise awareness among actors on gender equality in the world of digital organization. If they don't know what we are facing, they cannot help us. So we need them. We need to share, to disseminate the data that we get from the different studies, to increase the investment of organization in order to support the digital transformation in the long term, to encourage women to develop projects that take into account the future profession of the digital age in order. So for all now, the recommendation would be to fund the studies on digital transformation, because this study, as you can, I said at the beginning, more than 80% of people who responded have their organization in urban area. What about the people who are working for this? It's demonstrated through our study. We have a need. We have positive this evidence study and advocacy and organizations, but not only women who are involved in helping women, supporting women. Okay.
Amuda's very detailed presentation looking to. Okay, so we can go ahead with the discussions. One of the first issues that jumped at me is donor support. The fact that donor support is quite low. So in using digital technology to increase, I don't know if you got the question. Yes, great, thank you very much. So taking it again, there is kind of support, external support, because many of these organizations that we can leverage on digital technology itself, use it as a tool. That's the question.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, you are welcome. I think we can do many things to in data to support our needs. This is what we are doing today is part of how we can get them involved, because if they don't know the organization conducts research, we need also to share it and find a way and get funding also to convey by doing online advocate organizations. Thank you.
Right. So online advocacy is what you're saying that we should look at. Great. Thank you. Then on the front of looking at the gap when it comes to digital skills, is there a way that we as women's rights organizations can push for legislation? Then in the end, it will benefit those who are working in these same women's organizations. Can we use legislation one way or the other to push for?
Should I come in?
Yes, please come in.
Yeah, I think before using those legislation aligned with supporting women, if we have good legislation to support those women, then we need to advocate using those train the women's staffs challenges when it's come to digital transformation. I think if they know about gender gaps or gender divides between digital transformation, they can also try to take this in. We can make it. We can have government by our side. If we don't have, we don't have money or we don't have budget, we cannot conduct like big high-level trainings to get them involved, to get them, to have them on board so that they can know our concerns and take our.
Let's stay on the issue of legislation. Is there any conversation ongoing about dealing with cyberbullying of women?
In this research that we have conducted, we haven't really get some information about legislation about cyberbullying. Yeah.
Okay, all right. At all whatsoever in digital training, especially for their staff. How do we sort of spread the education so that they can buy into the idea of getting involved in the digital transformation? And so how do we let the education go around so that it catches on to these other organizations to be interested in the digital transformation?
Sharing good practice, sharing good practices is a way we can get them.
Are you ready? Okay, thank you very much. The panel discussions, and once again, I want to acknowledge our participants online from WiLDAF, so the conversation is carried on even further. So we are moving on to the panel session. Or we still have a presentation. For now, panel session initiates over there to make your inputs. And then we'll also hear from VM Technology, and then we have Agrico Hub Ghana, looking at digital technology as a tool for women's economic advancement, and we have finally iSpace joining in here from Developing Women for Skills and Opportunities Initiatives, right? Francisca. So Francisca, we'll hear from you on that. So Francisca, okay. All right, great. Francisca, you can go ahead. Right, so Francisca is an intersectional feminist leader, the Community Water and Sanitation Agency under the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources here in Ghana. Francisca Nancy Hagan.
Sorry about that. I needed access to unmute. All right.
Okay. Can you see it now?
Yes, I can. We've also used Teams and then Zoom. I've also made use of online networking platforms. We don't have it on the new generation to struggling around it, but then I'm sure we'll get there. So we've made use of this. That's I recommend because it is easier to get off online bullying, cyber bullying when you are in a confined, close some form. We've had so many, we have so many of in the past, and many people think you need to pay to George form. And then the most women's menstrual hygiene app that calculates your menstrual hygiene. But then there are sometimes that then somebody just posts them on social media and on Facebook particularly, and then that is when we start talking. Another thing I want to add is crowdfunding. Donors giving us money, but then since 2017, it has always been crowdfunding. We've always used that to generate funds for all the programs that we've done. And before I move on to the next, I would like to feel so proud of myself and my team when Prof. Audrey Kajepo joined us. Since last year, we've made a conscious effort to raise issue, women's rights, women activists. I can't mention all the topics, but then we've done all that, and we've had many of older inclusiveness in bringing people on and living with disability on. And that is a challenge that I will talk about. To use the tools to do, those are the impacts. We have increased our visibility on ways access to information and resources. The resources, I will talk about the monetary aspect of donor. They only give money through crypto. And so I don't even know if many of you is access to information. You put something out there, you want a policy, you want this. The next minute, some people are women in decision making. We make a post about something and you find people tweeting about it. Sometimes you go in to do a community engagement and you find these women that you are trying to forms. You find more women sharing the so many things, or younger family organizations, and we've done so. When my face is the Google Meet. I mean, we just set up in the morning, send a link out. We have a training, we have this, or if you want, please, next slide. I think that from the impact that I have shared comes the opportunities. And so I wouldn't using it to crowdfund, reaching more people, and then the ability to collect and where we are to go, and we forward with that. All right, so I just hope that I don't my internet doesn't mess up for me, which shouldn't happen, but then that is one of the limitations that we have using is sometimes you go on field to do something. After that, mostly we design a post survey using the Google Forms. Some can't fail when these volunteers are failing for them because of the language barrier or because they do not know that thing is limited digital literacy tested. Those just not interested at all. And so that is one limitation that we have faced, especially on Facebook and Twitter. Twitter is hostile. There are so much. I have been a victim. Once you are challenging people's the extreme. I've had cases that people take my picture and then do all sort of things with my picture, and then tell my profile circled where there is single, and then many women have also shared that as well. And then there is concerns about privacy and data protection. This data about certain things. So, for example, this NFT that I mentioned, the crowd for registration, all that. Some people will be skeptical about giving out those information. And so that's the next slide. All right, so one of the things that big, the web is websites, and then there is the social media. So developing a web policy, guides, and social medias. And by using this, we are going to use Buffer to you've done that, you know that at least every day by 8 a.m. we are to turn the strategies that the previous speaker spoke about auditing. So like I said, on our Twitter spaces, we've had people from the Muslim community, we've had diverse people have we do not have what it takes now to bring somebody who all right. But then another example of everything in the picture, and I see that as a visual impairment can be. And then I go also interested as tools by this women rights organization. How do we ensure reading? How do we do that? So let us take pragmatic steps in networking among ourselves, expect potentials in us, lot of things that can leverage on tools. We are here today via Zoom. Tomorrow it could just be us. Well, what can you also do for us as a traditional organization? This is where we move. Peanuts. These are fantastic tools for women to use, but in what app would we want to have? I mean, these things come together, and then we can create a social app for Ghanaian women. It will be fantastic, huh? Or with any of these tools that I've mentioned. There are so many that I couldn't mention. I mean, HubSpot has a lot of free tools for us to use. But then if you really want that, I'm always here, available to assist. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, institutions or organizations that are advancing women's and girls' rights. And so we'll move on straight to the next speaker, Viamo in Ghana. They're going to be looking at sexual and gender-based violence, access to legal information, and digital technology. We have Ni Lante Hayward Mills, is country director for Viamo Ghana, solutions to support large-scale development projects in Ghana, Nigeria, Liberia, Ethiopia, and Rwanda. And so we'll hear from Viamo. But before that, we have had, interestingly, some are more stable. So kindly bear with us, especially those of us who are joining us online. I appreciate you. Over 123 participants online. I appreciate you. Please, are you on?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, Doc.
Yes, I'm on. Right. Hello, everyone. Participating. Okay.
So we are sharing on.
Right. So what's the problem that we have? Gender-based violence and access to justice for somebody like Fatih. For Viamo, what we do is, first off, for some background, we are a tech for development organization. We started in Ghana in 2013 with about 10 employees. And at the moment, we have over 300 employees in over 25. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Yes, use the power of mobile digital to reach women, to transcend every phone, regardless of data, regardless of how much money to buy data, ability to read and write. It also transcends literacy levels because we deliver these communications, this information through. Right, so these are numbers about the penetration levels of, say, radio and TV and mobile phones. Almost everybody at all. So again, we are able to come together full cycle. So it's not about reaching them alone when it comes to, say, access to information on gender-based violence and resources to support people with over 300 million calls. And this is a dashboard of Ghana, 25,000. And this is a project that we're working on with WiLDAF and Oxfam. Some of people that have been economic abuse, how to seek help, what to do, seeking help, etc. And these are in real time. So we are able to, well, you can see, we can map of who is listening to what gender message where in Ghana. Okay, so since today we are talking about gender, you can tell, and I heard a few other panelists talking about how women are sidelined when it comes to digital mobile still. However, it is more rich than, say, social media, the internet. But you can see that this is the ideal. Ghana, we are 34, not too bad, but we can do so much more. That's also one of the reasons that we do what we do, to bridge the communication and information. So I will dive straight into some of the ways that we use our digital platform victims to be able to get support that they need, legal advice. So these are all Oxfam projects, and this is aimed at it's growth for inclusive economic. We disseminate information on gender-based violence and also deploy hotlines where we can reach all these beneficiaries with information. They can also reach us or to talk to a resource person to know. This way, these women are hearing these messages may be marginalized. They may in messages on the gender, the triple roles of women, financial management. So they are more likely to have no assert their rights and less likely to be assaulted, for lack of a better word. Right, so these are some numbers assessing it quite a lot. You can see men still assess, which is good, right? Male involvement is really important, but you can see that overwhelmingly, it's women who assess it, women between the ages of 18 to 35, and followed by women between the ages of 36 to 60. In terms of engagement, the northern region had the highest level of engagement, followed by the western region, and then for adaptive management. So clearly, for instance, we would wonder why women in the Savannah and Upper East are not partaking as much, and then field agents will be told to go on, let's find out why this is the case. Is it that you don't know about the hotline, or is it that they are still scared, right, for some adaptive management? Really interrogate what is happening. Okay, in terms of specific districts, you can see what is happening here. Savelugu, you can, I wouldn't say this is correlated to more active, more, these will not be, again, these are not in English. The messaging is not in English, it's in Hausa, it's in the language that they, Dagbani, the language that they understand. Again, as I mentioned, you can tell Gonja. So again, this means that we'll not be able to listen to what rights they have and access into messaging campaigns and into the context of empowering them to live better, fulfilled lives. Yes, that comes to the end of my presentation, and thank you so much for listening. I'm happy to answer questions when my pleasure. Over.
Thank you so much, Doctor. We will definitely come back to you for the discussions. And so next panelist is from Agri-Ho Hub Ghana, and of course they are going to be focusing on digital technology as a tool for women's economic advancement. And we have Eunice Ba Damwa. She is a family and child development expert, holds a BA in psychology and an MPhil in family and child studies, director of Agri-Ho Hub, and a lecturer with the University of Education Distance Study Center at Techiman. Eunice, it will be great to hear from you now.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
And it's a privilege.
Happy birthday to you.
Thank you so much. I'm grateful.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So I'm here at Agri-Ho Hub. It's actually a digital innovation tools to help advance the economic situation of women. So I'll go straight to the presentation.
Okay.
So for the overview of the presentation, we believe that digital innovation or technology is now one of the most powerful tools for women to leverage on to advance their economic activities. And now it has created a lot of avenue for women. I realize that a lot of women do have serious business ideas, but then sometimes they are not able to implement these business ideas because some may say that they do not have money to start. But we realized that they can leverage. We decided to train women or empower women in the digital space so they can also use these digital technologies to, I said earlier, it's an innovation hub that offers innovative business development and digital technology services, especially to women and to the youth. And since we've started a lot of digital technologies that I'll talk about later, and they've come back to give testimonies that these digital innovation tools that we are giving them is actually helping them with their businesses. This in which our digital technology supports the economic empowerment of women. And the first thing we talk about is digital skills for job. As I said earlier, the Agrico Hub NGO is mainly focused on training women and the youth in the digital skills. And we leverage on the e-learning platform. Sometimes we are not able to do physical training because of one or two reasons. So we train women. We started with photography, then graphic design, the mobile app and web app. And it's amazing to see that when you come to Techiman and East, you see women photographers, you see women graphic designers, you see women who are programmers who are coding, and you just love. We talk about the challenges later. When we started, when we entered into the digital skills training, but a lady said that she was actually going into the investigation that we are helping women to use digital skills to help themselves and also start businesses for themselves. When you come here, you have about 20 women who, through our training, have started their businesses in the digital space. Most of them are graphic designers and photographers. And sometimes we advocate for women's rights and gender equality. But after that, what's next? We realize that we need to also empower women economically. We need to family. So after training, we also offer incubation and acceleration programs. When we talk about incubation and acceleration, we believe that when you train them, you don't just let them go. You have to also make sure that they have started a business and they are ending money. Follow up on their businesses. We attest that they're actually using this digital technology to help themselves. And there was a woman who came through our training. She was a single mother. She trained for the children that she has. So we also believe that we have to also use these social media platforms, WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and the others to help women, especially those who are not economically sound, to start physical business for themselves and gain enough capital for themselves and their family. Please, next slide. And also online women communities. After our training, we put them into groups. So for those who learn to motivate others, they groups, and you keep on motivating them, you keep on following up on their work, you keep on giving them the assurance that things will work. They are able to sustain whatever technology. And it's so amazing that you see these Gary processes, but was able to leverage on the digital technology we taught them to digital space and in the digital world. And it helped these women. Sometimes they become very confident. So we also have cyber crime awareness campaigns that we do. We realized that, fine, you would give the economic empowerment, you train them on the digital space, they can't move on. You earn so much, and because of cyber crime, you lose your money. It became necessary to also have a cyber crime awareness campaign to educate our women on these cyber threats or cyber fraud that are available, these momo frauds that are available, so that they become aware of whatever is going on and people do not take advantage of our women when they earn. So cybercrime awareness is one of the things that we do to also help empower these women economically available, and people will not take advantage on them. Please, the next slide. So our impacts. For over 5 years that we've started, and they are bringing testimonies. One of them that touched my heart was the census that ended recently. One of our trainees here, unfortunately for her, she added us. It gave me a fulfilling heart that yes, we are giving impact and we are creating impact in our small community that we are in. And we have people who have started businesses with what we have taught them. People who are now selling digitally. with their products. People are boosting that, and it's an impact that we are creating. And we even hope to create more, advance more in the digital world, advance more in the digital technology, so that one of the impact that I also talk about is that sometimes we don't only train, but then we give startup skills, startup kits to our trainees. Last year, we trained apprentices, those who are just about leaving apprenticeship on digital technology. And when we ended, we were able to mobilize some digital, some startup kits, hair dry. Of course, with all these impacts, we have challenges. And one of the challenges is a limited resource to support our women. It's our wish that every woman that we train in the digital skill world receives something to go out and start their business, but we are limited. Hands are very tight when it comes to the resource widely in IT. IT is not for women, IT is for men. So why should I, as a woman, come for IT training? People would also tell you that I'm not interested in IT, but because sometimes of our cultural setting and the impacts, the opportunities that also comes our way, we have enhanced customer and technology, and we also have technology in for our women in a go without going the opportunity to work with other people, other partners around. Other people, partners come to us just because we are a digital innovation space and we are ready to help women advance in the digital. Then my few recommendations that are innovation hubs that are around. Also, we can leverage on the National Digital Innovation Week. We have these
All right, thank you so much for advancing sexual and reproductive health rights. Let's in Accra working with advancement of women and the sound is, somebody saying the sound is off. Okay. Okay, so then while we wait for Antonia, let's quickly, because of time, let's quickly VMO. I think someone is trying to find out the platform that VMO uses.
Good afternoon, everyone.
All right, Antonia is on.
I'm sorry, the sound, I think the sound is off because I can't hear anything. I haven't heard anything.
Okay, but you can hear now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. But can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, I'm going to show your presentation in a bit.
Antonia, sorry.
Good afternoon, everyone. Foundation. So over the next 10 minutes, we'll be talking familiar with iSpace Foundation. Some strategies we have employed to support women's rights and equality. We'll look at the areas and of course, recommendations for the future. So iSpace, sorry, I can't see my slides, but let me see. Okay, I'm trying to pull up. I apologize. I'm just trying to pull up the slides because I don't see it. Okay, so looking at different Instagram, Twitter, we utilize Microsoft, Google. So we do that both internally and externally. And of course, externally, our beneficiaries, both internally and also externally, because we work with a lot of organizations. We collaborate on work with vulnerable. Thank you so much. My slides are back on. I appreciate that. And thank you everyone for your patience. I was just talking about the different technologies we use at iSpace. And essentially our strategies include agenda. It's by mainstreaming gender into our programs, into our projects, into our policies and our strategy. They both stand a chance to benefit equally from all these services that we provide. Of course, we are looking at innovation who are starting families, who already have families and are also, entrepreneurs or are trying to get into, the business field. We had to lean on a lot of technological advances. And how does iSpace fit in? We create platforms for these women to build their skills. For instance, we have Unlocking Women in Technology, which is a program essentially to support women to build their skills, their digital technological skills. And we offer hybrid programs, so some of which are sorry, the screen just moved forward before I was done. We also use monitoring and evaluation, which is a very key factor because we always have to look at the past to move forward. We utilize Google and SurveyMonkey as different ways to collect data. So that way, of course, evaluate our programs essentially to see how it benefits women, or if it doesn't, what we can do to address that. We are very inclusive. If you're familiar with our social media platforms, you know that we always indicate public whenever we have a program that we are open to people living with disabilities to applying to our programs, because we want to make sure everyone is included and not just people living in urban areas or people who. Okay, so what is the impact of how we use digital technology and how it supports women's rights and equality? Essentially, it mitigates the negative effects that you would transfer over to digital spaces. However, a lot of issues are addressed when it comes to mobile phones. They can use WhatsApp. They can use WhatsApp for their businesses like Momo, mobile money around. And also it enhances connectivity. The impact is getting women together. Other women can reach out to other women. They can connect with women. They can hearing some of the stories of women, what they've been through and what kind of businesses they're running. When it's publicized on social media, creates a greater platform for us to incorporate some of these systems and norms will now be more apparent because it's on the digital platform where everyone can see, it can easily be observed, and we can move from there and do something about it. Again, it provides data. We're able to run analytics, support their sexual health, whether it's to access tools and resources that will help them develop themselves economically. We're able to keep track of that with analytics because it's online, it's a digital platform, and anytime someone accesses it, we can work with. And of course, it improves and increases our digital options for women and girls. We're able to identify what's working and what's not working. Again, this comes back to them are they in environments that are conducive for use and etc. And of course, just enhancing financial inclusion because there are other marginalized groups. And when I say marginalized, I don't mean just, the LGBTQ community who would otherwise wouldn't have had access to certain opportunities because of what they identify as. Whereas if they are on a digital platform, no one is looking at how you dress, nobody's looking to improve your economic stability, essentially. We'll move on to the next. It provides access to quality resources. And over the years, we know e-health has become mothers. We don't want to eliminate adolescents who are starting to know what information I need. this has helped me figure out if I want to keep my baby and then go back to school, or this has helped me decide if I don't want to keep my baby and I want to start a business, and I can't do that if I decide to have my baby. So at the end of the day, discover, you know, ways they can access quality services so that they can improve their life essentially. And we're also looking at inclusion of hard to reach women and girls, even individually, but they form part of a larger community that might frown against certain practices essentially. Maybe they need to focus on raising kids, they have to focus on being part of the family, maybe that belief that they can do both is not there. But if they do have a mobile phone, rural areas, in order for them to be equipped to do that research themselves, to go online and to get access to that information. Because we're running out of time, I'm just going to skip to the next slide. A lot of these points are interrelated. This is just a sample. I talked earlier on about space, and it was led by our business development specialist, essentially teaching women how to use Microsoft tools. So again, we are creating this platform, we're empowering women by giving them the skills they need. Thank you. I can't really see. Okay, so some challenges include limited funds. Of course, we know a lot of money, but how do we create these programs and projects and trainings when we don't have the resources? We need to programs. And of course, the issue of technology based gender, have people in place who are skilled in that area to control it, because and we don't have to worry about that whilst we are trying to make sure that the woman get that is returning back to work after they've had a baby, if there are opportunities, enough, you know, childcare services for them, if they have the option to work from home and what have you. So those are some systematic challenges that affects our communities, both women and men, because we can't talk about women without including men. They form a very huge part of our community, and essentially we need their support to do that. Recommendations include development of gender sensitive policies. So looking at how, again, men and women interact with, aware about our positions, our power, and our thoughts, you know, about women's rights, and about mothers, and about adults and girls. And we can't do that if we are not aware of our own biases, and we are not addressing that in our own places, our own systems of operation. And then looking at use of evidence-based practices. What has worked in the past? What has worked in other African countries and other systems that are familiar to us or that are similar to ours? How do we take advantage of the evidence that is out there that's actually worked? And of course, aligning strategies with government initiatives is very important, because we, like I said, we don't work out of, you know, on our own. We work within communities and we are stronger together. And sometimes we can bypass a lot of the barriers we have if we are aligned or collaborate with government initiatives. We're able to bypass, some of the systems in place to keep us, you know, out when it comes to advancing women's rights. And then research, of course, research. I like that someone mentioned, showed us some research, some slides about what research they've been conducting is very important. And research is not just research from our organizations, but also collaboration with technology developers, because they are in the field of digital technology. And you might be working at an NGO, and maybe your focus is on maternal health or sexual health. Your focus is on gender abuse, sexual abuse or violence and assault, but you don't have the expertise of the technological developer. So we are looking at collaborations of people from all walks of life, including stakeholders, which are the locals, the women themselves, and adolescents, females, and the grants. And I think we need to look into writing grants so we can access funding, because funding is a major issue. And the best way to access funding is by writing grants. So I think we need to put in a little bit of effort into training ourselves to learn how to write grants and to explore where grants are coming from and how we can access them and utilize them to our advantage. So that's essentially it. And I just wanted to mention that we do have a strategic plan that was introduced in 2021. And of course, is essentially to make sure that women and adults and girls have equal access to quality health services. And you're probably wondering that how is this connected? It's all connected. Women and girls who don't have access to quality health services are not at the best capacity when they're functioning, and they are not able to take advantage of their economic opportunities. That includes mental health, and that includes mortality rates. So all of this is all related. And of course, I just talked about aligning ourselves with government strategies, and this is how we need to explore what is being done. How can we build on that? It's not always about creating something new, but how do we align ourselves with things that have already been in place and build on that? Because sometimes that's what success is all about. It's about building on what has worked. And I think it's something we should probably look into. If you're an NGO or an organization that is interested, you can explore how you can align yourself with these government projects and use technology to advance gender equality, and then women's rights, women and girls' rights. So that is all. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Antonia, for that presentation. I'll move straight to you with a question, and then we'll get discussions running. So because of time, a question each to each of you who presented. So Antonia, the question is, have you considered looking at maternal health challenges, especially in the rural areas, and using your platform as iSpace Foundation to help improve maternal health? Have you?
Sorry, can you repeat the question again?
Yes. How do you, as an organization, iSpace, leverage on using digital technology to address the challenges of maternal health within the rural communities?
Okay, so essentially the first thing will be that our programs are not, like I said, we are very inclusive, and we believe in diversity. So we make sure that we open up our programs to all women, including women that are looking for information about sexual health, maternal health. Oh, sorry, my video is off. Sorry, can you see me now?
We can see you.
I just had a... Yeah, so again, our programs are really open, and we also create platforms where we create and develop different communication tools to spread information about maternal and sexual health. We rely a lot on WhatsApp groups. So a lot of the participants of our programs have been put into WhatsApp groups where they're able to access, specialized information on specific topics. So that is one way we're doing that. And of course, we are looking at exploring other digital
challenge in the use of technology, but they also have the greatest need when it comes to maternal health. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, we just got done with, well, we're not done, we're still in transition in the program. iSpace, although we are based in Accra, Ghana, we do travel all over the country to implement our programs. And we were just recently all over the regions of, okay, well, we did go to the north, we went to town, we went to Wa, we were in Kumasi. We do travel extensively to, roll out our program. So when it regards to reaching rural communities, that is not a problem at all. We do that obviously with the help of digital technology from Accra, our head office, but we also do that because we have personnel in rural areas. And we also have relationships with different hubs in rural areas. So we do have go-to points in different regions of Accra, and also outside Accra and outside Ghana. So we're definitely utilizing our tools in rural areas, and we're not limited to urban areas when it comes to our reach.
Thank you so much, Antonia. Great presentation, and thanks for Eunice Badamwa. Oh, Eunice, at least a question each, and then we'll come to the other conversation. So, Eunice Badamwa of creating gender-sensitive policies. in advancing women's economic advancement, especially in the area of agriculture. Okay.
Yeah, hello, I'm
Yes.
here. Oh, yeah, I was allowing to be unmuted. We might not be widely heard, and we might not be sensitive when it comes to digital technology. To host the Bunu East event were there, and taking opportunities of this program, you are talking about it or highlighting about it. So for our perspective or from our end, we believe that we can take advantage on the national policies or national events, then talk more about the gender inclusion when it comes to the digital space.
Thank you very much, Eunice Damwa. Thank you so much for your presentation and your response to our question. So we'll move now to WiLDAF Ghana, Dr. Nilante Howard-Mills. You spoke about providing an avenue for victims to be conclusive, that when the victim of sexual or gender-based violence gets in contact with that help, do we see a conclusive end to the help? Does it get to a point where the person actually gets the help they need?
For starters, the communication, a conversation. It starts with a conversation, right? And there are structures in place by organizations like WiLDAF, for instance, to be able to signpost to legal advice, professional legal advice. As just like real life situations, more often than to the conversation, and WiAMO provides the technology to bridge that gap and provide a platform for conversations like these using technology.
To the women, is it through text? Is it through messaging? How do you do that?
So we do all that using the power of voice, as I mentioned. IVR, we call it interactive voice. Hausa, in a tone, in an intervention, our key product across all our markets is voice messages to bridge the literacy.
Okay. Thanks so much, Dr. Nilante Howard-Mills. We wish you the best. He's country director for WiLDAF Ghana. You spoke about, even for you as the head of the organization, personal encounters of online harassment against you as a women's advocate. How do we reduce these incidents? Are you on? So if I'll go over the question again.
This happens to the best of us. I think what we can do is just, can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can.
All right.
You can go ahead.
All right. So I said this happens to the best of us. And so what we is for women, especially these young activists, to ensure that they are in good places. Also, one thing that we can also do is to build a community, would let them know that it's just part of the work. It's not supposed to happen, but then it's just part of the work. Having that community of support would just encourage you. But then another thing that we could do, especially with organizations like WiLDAF, is to ensure that there are certain things in place, to legal backings in place to ensure that we can take on the perpetrators.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Presentation, which we're looking forward to earlier. It's on the innovation and technological change and education in the digital age for achieving gender equality and the empowerment of all women and girls. We're looking at the WiLDAF Ghana network position and rights in Ghana, and she's currently the chairperson of the WiLDAF Africa Ghana and West Africa, and also president of the International Federation of Women Lawyers Ghana.
I'm no longer the president of FIDA.
Oh.
I handed over a few months ago.
All right.
So, which is innovation and technological change and education in the digital age for achieving gender equality and the empowerment of all to holistically examine the gendered impacts of innovation and technology and education in the digital age, drawing upon recent research and to identify recommendations that will allow us to have a more inclusive and equitable digital evolution. So the theme was quite broad, so it's rather focuses on digital technologies and education in the digital age. So why do we consider digital technologies as important? This is because it gives us greater access to information, education, and skills, and open possibilities for increased employment and business opportunities. There's a World Bank survey, research, that states that there will be over 200,000 digital jobs in the next few years. And I wonder if women are even aware or prepared of those opportunities out there. There's also the potential to allow for services to improve access to health, legal, and financial services. Recently, the court started the e-justice system, where during the vacation, we did, and if people or if women want to access justice, these are some opportunities and quicker ways they can address their issues. So why is ICT so important? Of course, it's an avenue for growth, but it's also in line with the SDGs. SDG 5, 9, and 17 all require ICT for decent growth, decent work and economic growth. And Africa Union's Agenda 2063 calls for a highly connected continent to drive business, social, and governance development. Also, ECOWAS and agreements to support ICT growth in the continent. So, clearly the agenda gaps. So this theme requires us to have a deeper understanding of the digital inequalities we contend with, and also ensure meaningful connectivity for women and girls beyond access. I think we've had connectivity issues today, although we had access. So beyond access, we should have meaningful connectivity, analyze a range of barriers to the productive use of professions in that level. That's the STEM subjects, science, technology, engineering, and math. And also promote quality education from the primary to the top on how we can access ICT or gain knowledge in the digital area. We know that the schools do ICT from the basic education level. I wonder if everybody has a laptop or a desktop to even understand what ICT really means. Most of the time it's the chew and pour kind of thing, where you are asked, what is a mouse? Then you would answer what a mouse is. So that's where the gap, I think there could be rural areas in Accra, but even in the major regions, depending on the school you go to, you can have good education, learning ICT the right way, or not learning it the right way. So there are a lot of benefits for us women and girls enjoying or gaining so much knowledge in ICT. However, we know of the dangers. The good ones we all know, it's for education, it's for recreational purposes, it's for business. There's been a boom in e-commerce since the last 3 years. and it's for relaxation. The latter slides, I will show a few pictures showing that. And in addressing this, we need legal frameworks and the capacity building of judicial and enforcement institutions to address these gender issues, because they are online and technologically facilitated gender-based violence. What do we mean by that? Gender-based violence is gender-based violence. I mean, what I'm trying to say is whatever happens offline happens online. So what's the offline gender-based violence can also happen online, except that this time it's facilitated by technology. And now we see that there's a high rise or high incidence of that, especially because a lot of us have phones, and now it's an easy way to also use this to perpetuate this offense. We're also saying that there should be a survivor-centric intersectional approach in dealing with this issue. Building the capacity of these has to also be survivor-centric. What do we mean by that? It's not the time for whoever is handling the matter to be laying blame on the survivor for doing so and so. Because lately we've realized that a lot of young ladies and some old ladies share a lot of nudes, which they are often used to blackmail them. And as I said, there's not the time for whoever, the policeman or the judge, to now ask questions. Why did you send the pictures? Who is he to you? How long have you known him? The person being seen as a victim. Because when the person was sending the pictures, the person thought they trusted whoever, and that trust was breached, and that caused it. So we should have that survivor mentality. Then human rights is a very critical issue. We know we have the right to speech, the freedom of expression, right to privacy, and yet in this same space, people are doing all kinds of things, insulting people online, spreading fake news. So where do we draw the line between human rights, the freedom of expression? There's also a number of women, especially women who are so, okay, let's drop that one. So people who are so exposed can easily be targeted by social media to insult her. I mean, it's so unnecessary that we do that, but it's, as I said, anything that happens offline happens online. Just the same way people will insult you that you are not married offline. It's the same way, but this time the stretch or the scope is so wide because of the boundless nature of the internet, and that's what makes it a critical issue. So now let's look at some data. I tried looking for some data, recent data, which was very difficult to get, but I found this from the GLSS 7. That's the Ghana Living Standards 7, which was published, was it 2017 or so? 2017 or 2018. So this one, I'm just showing you that it is way, way off. But I think it will give us an indication that we've moved really past the stage. So at that time, over 27% had acquired ICT skills compared to 15% females. I don't think right now females in Ghana who have ICT skills are only 15%. Just to show how pre-COVID and post-COVID has really changed, a little over 11% who were using a computer device before COVID. Only 9.5% of females used a computer device, and close to 1/3, that is 3.3, actually owned a computer or a laptop pre-COVID. Then the proportion of those who use a computer device is almost twice. This is some general information I got. I didn't get the sex disaggregated one, but I was surprised to know that Ghana is now 32 million as of January 2022. And from that data, Ghana's population increased. At the start of 2022, 58.6% of Ghana's population lived in urban centers and 41% in the rural areas. So now there's a shift. Initially, more people were in the rural, but now we are becoming more urbanized. Now, this is the most interesting one for me, which I didn't know. 49.3% of Ghana's population is female. We used to be 51%, remember? Now we've dropped to 49.3%, and 50.7% of the population is male. So now the males are more than the females. Then there were 16.99 million internet users, the population at the start of 2022. So that shows that 47% of the population were offline as at January 2022. Then I think for this one we can skip it, but it just shows that with. Now, next slide, please. This is an interesting slide based on what we just talked about, the 32 million. This is how people use, this is general, this is not sex disaggregated. How people use the internet in Ghana. 0.9 of the internet users use smartphones. That means spent, and this is last year, remember, was over 4 hours, almost 4.5 hours. Not almost, a little over 4.5 hours. I believe now it's a survey done by another NGO which showed that a lot of their children. Then social media usage. Ghana was ranked 3rd worldwide as of last year. Then 29.6% of the internet, and we don't know how it would be used. Then 26% of internet users decline cookies on websites. It would ask, now the law requires they ask. So I'm showing footprints here. And these footprints mean that anything we do on the internet stays on the internet. And that's unfortunately one thing most people don't know, especially women. And we try to let them understand that be careful of what you post, be careful of what you like, be careful of what you even dislike. So one has to be very strategic once we are online. But what we realized, and of course in our engagements with some of the students, is that they have a lot of things they've put out there which they now regret. The Cybersecurity Authority have the opportunity to pull down some of these things within a particular time frame. But once that time frame passes, or once let's say Facebook doesn't believe that you are a child, then it cannot be removed. But the reality of the situation is that even if it's removed, and that same thing is posted on WhatsApp, WhatsApp is encrypted. So that one, nobody can remove it. And that is the quickest mode of transmission of information in Ghana. So most of the time it would be moved off Facebook or some of the major social media. So that is the how serious the situation is. Now this is another issue a lot of young girls contend with. Dealing with people they claim they know and yet they don't know. Because we've had a number of cases too where people pose like they are peers and yet they are older. Some girls have ladies claiming they want lesbian relationships with them, and they share their nudes only to realize a few days later that they share their nudes with a man. So this is also something that is quite common worldwide, but very common also in Ghana. But beyond that, next slide, what are some of the positives? There's the STEM program ongoing in schools. There's a female minister at the Ministry of Communications and Digitalization. And I dare say that once there's a female heading some of these institutions, you see the difference. Because she's championed the Girls in ICT program quite well. A lot of girls are now, have now gained a lot of experience in some of the things we are talking about, and also in ICT schools. I was privileged to be part of that, and they trained thousands of girls, and after the initial training, 100 are selected, and each was a 9-year-old girl. Yes. A math quiz also provides opportunities for young girls to also be involved in these things. Quiz, who we hear is now in Harvard. So it shows that ICT or STEM subjects really also can project one to the next level. Then there was this school in Mampong, So what we are trying to say is that although there's the bleak side of, the negatives to be there, we have a number of laws which protects us, the Data Protection Act, which has been mentioned by the previous, but was repealed, and we should all determine that we are the ones who will not be left behind. Thank you very much.
Thank you too very much, Ifra Brown Asen. We want to say a big thank you to all those who participated online, WiLDAF West Africa, all those who participated online. The participation was dropping, towards the end, but still you stayed on and you held on. We want to also appreciate Plan International Ghana, Women's Voice Leadership Program, Plan International Ghana. Thanks so much for your support, and Global Affairs Canada, as well as all the other organizations that joined in. But now we'll have the vote of thanks from Perpetual Tindana, who works with WiLDAF.
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. So good afternoon once again to everyone, depending on where you are joining us from. So on behalf of WiLDAF Ghana, I would like to acknowledge and extend our gratitude to our key partners of this event, and that is Global Affairs Canada, Plan International Ghana, through the Women's Voice and Leadership Program. And secondly, to our impeccable speakers and moderator who took time out of their busy schedules to share their experiences and learnings with us. We are immensely grateful to you all. And also to WiLDAF Network and the Secretariat, our project team. We appreciate you for your relentless support for making this event and each other activity a successful one. And finally, to our cherished participants who join us from far and near, we say thank you for gracing this event with your presence and meaningful contributions. It is our hope that the learnings generated from this discussion would engender public attention and also foster an ease in our ability to integrate digital or technological tools in our programming as women's rights organizations. We believe that this will go a long way to strengthen networking, collaboration, communication, as well as create innovative solutions for women and girls to thrive in advancing gender equality. Thank you once again, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much. So we'll put a close on the session. We'll have a group photo.
Hello. Hi, online participants. Thank you so much for joining. I would like us to kindly take a photo of all of us. So if you can, put your camera on, and then we'll be able to get a picture of everyone. Okay, I'm starting. Okay, ready? Okay, big smiles. Thank you. Okay, one more. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, and we're done. We're done the program. Thank you so much for staying with us for all this while. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's have a great day.